Hey guys, Augiesaint here and welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and we are checking out Terminull Brigade today. It's an action roguelike co-op hero shooter set in a futuristic digital world. The only downside is I wish I could play more of it. I did have a little bit of technical difficulty, so I didn't really get to play as much as I would have liked to, but in the short amount of time that I did get to play it, I could highly recommend giving it a shot, especially since it's going to be free to play. So stay tuned to the channel and be on the lookout for it when it does actually launch. We will definitely be covering it in depth when it does go live, because it was really fun and I can't wait to dive deeper into it. So just a massive shout out to Pew Pew Games as well for reaching out to us and letting us have a look at their upcoming Terminull Brigade. So without further ado, let's hop into the video. So first up, let's talk about the gameplay. Now it was very smooth. You do have guns and you also have abilities, and all of these abilities and stuff were quite different from the different characters as well. You go ahead, there's like abilities you can place down. There's even a melee character where you can dash around the screen and throw out these flying blades and stuff. Each character has 2 abilities, and then they also have like an ultimate ability, and I could only use it about 2 or 3 times in a mission, but all of that can actually be affected by the progression systems, which we'll get into later. For now, we're just going to keep talking about the gameplay. So 2 skills, you get the ultimate, and then each character has a different gun. There is actually 6 different characters as well we saw in the beta. 3 of them were available to us right from the start, and then the other 3 you had to get through like a daily login. Although we just got all of them right away just for the beta testing purposes. So I think maybe when the full game actually comes out, you have to play for a couple of days or something like that to fill out the login track, and you can actually get all the characters unlocked. And also talking about the different characters, they did play very differently to each other. So it wasn't just like a different character look with a different weapon. They all played extremely different. It felt like a whole different game from playing the Blade character, which is the one that I mainly played, and then the Soldier character is the one that you let start and do the tutorial with. It felt completely different playing between those two because the melee character, the Blade, she actually really focuses on the melee abilities, and some of them charge the other ones. So you can like dash in, do a melee attack, and that's going to help you recharge your other skills. So she's really more like skill based and running around, you know, doing melee stuff, getting in and out of combat. Whereas the Soldier guy, he was more like just hang back, shoot missiles. He had a shield too, I think. And then obviously he just had like the submachine gun that he was using. Whereas the Blade chick, she had like a little Uzi. So character wise and gameplay wise, everything was quite different from each other. The gameplay loop is you start out these missions, and then you have to go through a couple of zones, clearing out trash mobs, and then you get to a boss. I think there's about 3 bosses per like overall zone. So you have to go ahead, clear out the zone and make your way towards the boss. And you do have a pretty interesting boss fights. None of them were like too crazy with mechanics, but they were actually pretty interesting and really fun, fast-paced action, and the hit detection and everything felt really good on the bosses. The sound design as well as everything just sounding pretty cool with all the effects and stuff going on in the background. As you can see, the Blade over there is just ripping through, and then he goes into a little immune phase. You got to go to hit, dodge, everything like that. Just some basic stuff. So the loop will basically be go through and clear the areas until you get to the boss area. You clear him, and then you move on to the next area. And in between areas is actually a little thing where you can select different perks, as well as a little shop where you can replenish your HP and your shield and stuff like that. As you can see, you can get something like this little summon missile cube in the background. You summon 1 missile cube, auto-targeting and firing 1 tracking missile upon reload, dealing damage for every 50% extra magazine capacity. The number of tracking missiles increases by 1%. So there's all these different kind of perks, and the cubies can all be summoned in different ways. As you can see, they're explained by the different perks. There's a whole bunch of different perks you can get, summoning different ones, doing different effects, and then that just keeps everything fresh as well when you go through and you play them over and over, because that is the general arc of how this is actually going to work. You're going to go through, clear these places, and then that's going to unlock all the different progression systems as well. Each time you go through the level, you'll unlock the next difficulty level. There was 10 difficulty levels per zone. So just in the beta, we only had the 2 different zones available. I'm sure on the full launch, we'll actually get quite a few more zones with different bosses and things, but that's going to be the general progression. Go through, clear areas, kill a boss, pick up different perks, just like a typical roguelike with fast-paced action shooting, kind of like a goofy Borderlands meets roguelike, somewhere in the middle, Vampire Survivors, Borderlands. Think like a mixture of those two. That's what I could just think about when I was playing, but it was very fun, and I did see myself wanting to play more and more so that I could unlock the progression systems and get more powerful. Because I'm sure once you get to the higher levels, which is like level 10 or something like that, we didn't actually get to that in the beta. I'm not even sure if that was available, but that would take quite a bit of grinding to get there. And then you'd have to get quite a powerful build as well, because I did see the numbers and everything did start scaling up quite substantially. We went from shooting like 100 or so to the next level shooting like thousands. So I could definitely see us probably approaching like hundreds of thousands once we get up into the much higher difficulties and we get all of the specialized perks and modules going. So with that, let's actually talk a little bit about the progression system we had access to. Mainly we had access to talents and modules. Now the talents is just your typical stuff. As you can see in the background there, increased HP, increased damage, cooldown, all that kind of stuff, skill power, weapon power, and all of that will be going further in because all the characters, obviously, some of them would be focusing on like using their weapon, the soldier guy. And there's another character, for example, she can chuck down turrets, and then she's going to be focusing on like the skill power because you really want to juice up your turrets. And I think that's actually the character I'm going to play the most. So that is the different talents there, and every time you complete a full mission, you'll get a bit of the points that you need to actually go ahead and invest into that talent tree. That's going to be a long-term goal to go ahead and like just juice up your whole account, because that talent tree will be available across all your characters and not just the one you decide to play on. So that is the progression over there. That's probably the main juicy progression. And then the other system we had access to was the module system. This one's a little bit more interesting. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. You have to rotate and move stuff depending on what you have available into the different slots. And you can see that you obviously get quite a few different ones there, like ability power, HP, cooldown, and then you can just rotate those around and kind of fit them in like a jigsaw puzzle. And I think every character did have a different like starting base board, so you can put in different ones and combine them in a different way. There's also a maximum amount of how many you can actually put in of each different type. So like the different color ones, I assume that's to make it so you don't go too OP, like fully focus into ability power or something like that, and then make the turret trick just extremely powerful. I think that's kind of like just for a little bit of a balancing act there. But overall, it was a pretty interesting system. And then the modules you actually get from just fully completing out the zones and the missions. So the more you play, the more modules you get. And I think you can also combine them together to make stronger ones or maybe random ones. I wasn't able to actually check this out too much because I was having some technical difficulties and I couldn't get back into the game to carry on playing. So unfortunately, in my limited time of playing, that's all I could see. But even with the limited time and everything that I could see about the game, as I said at the beginning of the video, this is really fun and I can't wait to try it out some more. I think this is going to be like my little guilty pleasure game. I'll have it on the side and just always be playing. And I think with friends as well, if you play this in co-op, because it is up to 3 people co-op, it should be a way more engaging and more fun and just have some crazy funny moments, because the combat can get pretty crazy and just over the top, and sometimes with all the different perks. There was like this one electric perk jumping between all enemies when you shoot them. It just becomes this whole crazy mess of numbers and abilities and skills and everything flying all over the place. So it's just fun to have that little bit of fantasy going in there, like that power fantasy, you being OP and just smashing away at everything in front of you. It wasn't overly challenging, but like I said, we were on the early levels. So maybe once you get to like the much later levels, it does actually become pretty challenging. And then the build diversity is obviously there with the modules and the talents and the different characters. And then there's also relic sets, which I haven't really spoken about much, but it's these items you can pick up during the missions and you can equip them, and they have like different set bonuses and stuff like that. I don't actually have footage about those, but yeah, you pick them up, they're relic drops, and they'll have like a 2 set. I think there's even one with like a 6 set is the maximum. And you can have up to like 8 relics equipped. So you could maybe have like a bunch of 2 sets, or you could go ahead out and max out the 6 set and then get a 2 set, just depending on what you have. And then some of the juicier relics, like the legendary ones, they actually had 2 sets on them at once. So you could get like a 6 set of 2 different sets at the same time if you had fully juiced out relics. I'm sure in the later levels, once you get to the much higher difficulties, those will probably be more common and you can go ahead and just become way more powerful. I think it's going to be a pretty fun game going forward, and there'll always be some kind of little bit of challenge to go ahead. You'll never be too OP, and everyone is just going to be a little bit different and just keep it fresh going forward. So overall, definitely something I'm going to be looking out for and something you should check out too, especially since it's going to be free to play anyway, so there's nothing you could lose except for a little bit of time. So make sure to add it to your wish list and follow the channel for more info going forward, because we'll definitely be hopping into this once it goes live. And if you guys wanted to play with us, maybe we can make some groups and stuff in the Discord as well. It's the easiest way for us to get a hold of everybody. So check it out, join the Discord, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, and I'll catch you beautiful people in the next one. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the